Hello, fifth graders. So today we're going to start out by going over the standards that we will be hitting when you go over your assignment. Your assignment will be kind of broken up into two sections. It's a interactive slideshow, and you'll go and do slides 1 through 19, and those will be due on Wednesday. And slides 20 through 42 will be due on the following Monday. So for starters here, key ideas and details. You're going to need to be able to explain what the text says explicitly and draw inferences from the text. Now, we talk about inferences in class somewhat often, but we will kind of reiterate what that means or explain it again. Moving on to another key ideas and details standard is determine two or more main ideas of a text and explain how they are supported by key details. And then you need to be able to summarize that text. So again, some terms or vocabulary words in here for the lesson. Main idea, we should know what that is. We got some slides coming to reiterate or explain again. And then supporting details or key details we'll go over as well, along with summarize. I know the past 3 weeks or so when we were in school, we talked about summarizing, but we will explain that as well. Text types and purpose. This is pretty much what we just did with the papers we wrote on our opinion pieces. So it's supporting your opinion, and you're providing logical, ordered reasons that are supported by facts and details. So not only are you giving your opinion, but you need to be able to order it in a logical way. Logical meaning it makes sense. All right, so we're going to move on to our next slide here. So an inference. An inference is a conclusion reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. So if I just read that to you, you're probably like, Mr. McCabe, I don't know what you're talking about. So if we look at this diagram here, you take the background knowledge or the information that you already know, and you add it with the clues from what you read. And that's how you get your inference. And then down here it says, good readers piece together clues from the text and filter them through their background knowledge to make inferences. So what it's saying is, you're reading the information, and if it's something that you don't know, you take the knowledge that you already know and you kind of make a conclusion or almost like a guess on what it would mean. So you're using information you already know in addition to information you're learning right now. I will also make this slideshow available to all of you so that if in a situation you're like, oh, I don't really remember what an inference is, I will give you this slideshow on your Google Classroom. You're all going to be able to have it. Main idea. We go over the main idea all the time in class, but just to make sure we all understand what it is. Main idea, the overall message of the reading. So the overall message of what I'm trying to get to you right now would be vocabulary. The main idea right now is vocabulary. Again, if we're not understanding this sentence right here, we have another diagram. So I know that we've talked about it as a chair in class before. When you're sitting on it, the part that you sit on is the main idea, and then the legs of the chair would be the supporting details. It goes the same thing as you see here. The table, if you're working at a table, the top of it, or the main part of the table is the top of it. So your table is your main idea. Then when we branch off into the supporting details or key details, we're then talking about the legs. So the legs of a table are what support it, which makes it a supporting detail. Which brings us to our next term or vocab word, and it would be key details. Otherwise, you might hear me say key details, you might hear me say supporting details. It's the same thing. So they are sentences that tell more describe, or explain the main idea. So you're either telling more about the main idea, describing the main idea, or explaining the main idea. And again, here's another diagram, a little bit different than the table here. So if you're thinking of a rainbow, the rainbow itself is your main idea. You then have different colors that branch off of that this is your rainbow here, and you have your different colors that branch off of that. So, I mean, ways that we ask ourselves, what is the text mostly about? And again, when we say text, we're talking about the reading or what you have just read. You look for keywords or clue words that are repeated. If something is repeated, it's probably very important. Sometimes you can look at the title or the headings, even pictures. And again, you could just reread the first and last sections of the text. So if you're reading maybe like an opinion paper that you just wrote, if you read the introduction paragraph and you read the closing paragraph, they should state the same things, which would be the main idea. They would also then include supporting details in there if they're written correctly. Then lastly, we have summary. A lot of us get a little confused on what summary is. It's just a brief statement or account of main points in the reading. So if we're not understanding that, it's kind of just a little snippet of what you read in your words. If I was to make a summary of this sentence here. Now again, we have another diagram here for you. So one way you can think about it is somebody. So there's got to be somebody in this text or reading what you're doing, right? So who is the main character? That's your first thing. Wanted. What did the main character want to do? So, hi, Mr. C. From there, you think of but what is the problem? Then you go to, so how did the character solve that problem? Kind of like when I talk about social studies and I tell you, you need to have your so what, your who, what, where, when, why, and so what. This is your so what. How did the character solve this problem? We want to know why it's important. What was the resolution then as well? So that those two kind of go together. The first, your top three, SWB, would go together in my opinion, and then your ST would then go together as well. That is the end of this slideshow for you. I will now move on to what you're going to be seeing for your work. So this is what you will be working on. It's another Nearpod lesson if you forget. We've done a couple of them, not a whole lot, but they're interactive slideshows. So this is title here, Wildlife Under Fire. Cool thing about this lesson is it's going to take our reading standards and kind of spiral them or connect them with some things that you've already learned in science. So here again is your standards, what we just went over. So you're explaining what the text says, you're drawing inferences, you can determine two main ideas of the text and have their supporting details. And then you're going to be able to support your opinion by providing logical data and reasoning. All right, so when you're doing your lesson here, these are your objectives. You're going to identify at least 3 reasons why a species may become endangered. So I'm not going to give away what you're going to read in here, but there's many different reasons that animals or other species of plant life or whatever you're going to read about could become endangered. I'm also not going to tell you what endangered is right now because you're going to read about that in your lesson as well. These are probably things that you've already learned about in science, though, like I just said. List some of the causes and consequences of habitat destruction, climate change, pollution, and poaching. So I would probably say that these are maybe some key terms or maybe vocabulary words that you will stumble upon or come across in your readings. And then another one you're going to see here is describe at least 3 ways that people can help endangered species. So we're going to talk about why species are endangered, and then we'll also talk about what or how we can help those species. Moving on from there, you're going to have your essential question, your big question, as I would like to call it. How can we protect the lives of endangered animals? And that's where I'm going to end this lesson right here, because this is slide 4 on your lesson. And from here on are the interactive questions and readings and manipulative type things you can do with this. So I'm not going to go into this slideshow any further, but as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact myself through, you can do email, we can set up a Google Meet, you can call me at the school, and if you can think of any other way to contact me, I'm fine with that as well. All right. Have fun.